we just thought that, one of the wonderful things about celebrating Dr. King's birthday is that the civil rights movement was so recent that we have living history. We have people who participated, who fought, who struggled, some in very lofty positions and are well known, but others who were on the grassroots level doing so much to help liberate so many. And we just thought it would be nice to get together briefly and hear from some of our elders. I thought that it'd be nice to kick it off hearing from Dorothy Height. Having known all the great heroes and being one yourself of the civil rights movement, how do you think we were the beneficiaries of all that work should be thinking about that period, and are there some reflections, Dorothy, that you want to share with us?
Well, first, I want to thank you for this opportunity for us to come together, because I think we should never forget what the struggle has been, and we should also recognize the progress that we've made. And of course, you're part of that great progress, and we're very proud of it. It means a great deal to us. And to see the kinds of things that you're working on. I was preparing for a speech yesterday, and I looked through some materials, and there was a statement by Martin Luther King Jr. speaking of violence. And he said, health and hunger are great violence. He spoke of that as violence, and I thought of it. I first met Martin Luther King when I was 15. He'd come to Morehouse College as a gifted student. And I was leading a team for the Body Museum of the United States. And as we moved in there, my 3 white colleagues could stay at the hotel, but I had to live with a private family. And I was glad that my mentor and friend, Dr. and Mrs. Mays, took me in. And they invited me to come one night and meet with their favorite student. It was Martin Luther King Jr.
15 years old.
15 years old. He did not finish high school. He was taken in. And the interesting to me was to sit at a dinner table with him and hear this young 15-year-old talk about whether he wanted to be a doctor, or whether he wanted to go into law, or whether he'd go into the ministry. I cannot say that I predicted anything, but I was certainly overcome that he was a young man whose analysis, the depth of which he looked at each one was just challenging. It made me wonder, why did I become a social worker? Because of the way that he talked about what he'd become. And then to be working with him later in life, at the time of his death, as a part of the United Civil Rights leadership, was to see so much that had come forward. And I think that today, the value in keeping this observance, the way you are trying to help us do, and expressing the importance of volunteering and serving, I think if we can quicken that mood, and I'm glad that the First Lady's helping us to understand the importance of volunteering. I think that's very important, and especially now, with all of the catastrophes in Haiti and around the world, that we have to do that. So that I think we have come a long way. I think through the civil rights movement, we got laws. We now need more enforcement. And I think that everything we do now that pushes us to the next step is going to count upon the younger generation understanding the nature of the conditions from which we've come and the value of the struggle, but to understand that it's not, we don't have to do the same things, but we certainly have to move forward. And I appreciate your leadership in helping us trying to do that.
Well, thank you so much.